Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Totally Stumped podcast, episode number 4. But this isn't just any old episode. It is a very, very special episode with a very special guest. We have, of course, me and Stumpy as always. But today we have a brand new special guest joining us for this exclusive Totally Stumped podcast episode. So, Celestial Story, want to tell us about yourself?
No.
Well, that's the end of the podcast, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. It was a very fun
Thanks for joining
episode.
us.
Hello guys, I am CelestialStory, or as other people call me Celestia, Celeste, Celeste, you can call me anything at this point. I am a variety content creator over at Twitch and an inspired YouTuber and VTuber. And I'm here to make you smile, basically.
Yeah,
That's-
very true.
Bro.
Celeste, what got you into streaming? That's probably our
So-
best question to start with.
Yeah, so it's actually very, very interesting. So I started streaming initially just because some friends asked me to. Some friends were like, "Hey, Celeste, it would be cool to see you start streaming once," and it helps us out to spend some time with you because they were really busy with school and stuff, and they couldn't always call. So I started streaming initially a little bit, and they really enjoyed it. But then they weren't always there, and then other random people would start joining every now and again, and they would
Mhm.
start following, and before you know it, just that there was like an adrenaline rush of like people like checking you out and you feeling good about yourself because you're making people their day. So I just kind of continued doing it and doing it and doing it, and it just kept going and going.
Yeah, I think I was kind of similar. Whenever I started streaming, I was just kind of hanging out with a lot of people who did stream. And then I found myself when they were done streaming on Twitch, streaming to them on Discord and things like that. And they were saying, why don't you just go live on Twitch? And eventually I just got the bravery up and hit stream on Twitch. Was absolutely shiting myself for the first 2 or 3 and then finally got into my rhythm and now I do it all the time for some reason.
It's,
What about
it's,
you guys? Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
No, go guys, go guys.
I think like for me, streaming, it was what I streamed was like things I would do anyway, and it still like is at the moment too. So it was always just sharing a hobby with people, but one of the things that made it more kind of important to me was like streaming helped me for a lot of times where like at least watching streamers helped me when I was not feeling super great or things weren't so good. I could always go home and be like, okay, I'll just like put on this streamer or whatever or this content creator and relax and chill. So I always wanted to create an environment where no matter what, people can come into my streams, no matter if it's a good day and making it a little bit better or maybe making a bad day, that little bit better. If I can have that positive impact on someone's life in some way with just, something like DBD gameplay or something I already do, then I'd quite like to do that. It's nice to know you can make a positive difference while also having fun. And so if you can create like a cool environment like that and a community that like each other and help just make some sort of small positive change online, then that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well said. So then moving on from that, is there a streamer that inspired you all?
Oh, absolutely. I have a lot of streamers and a lot of content creators who inspired me to do what I do. To start off with, Insym is a big inspiration for me. I used to watch the guy all the time while I was going to school and stuff. And it was really relaxing. He was a big Phasmophobia streamer. He kind of moved on to a bit of variety now. And that moved on to other people as well. When I started doing VTubing, I started watching Shay as well, another DBD follow content creator. And I really enjoyed like how they hanged out with their character and stuff as well. And I started watching people like Shy Lily as well. And before I got a lot of inspirations on the internet at this point. What about
Yeah.
you, Stumpy?
I don't know if there's anybody that really inspired me to start. I think it was more like I was playing a good bit of Killer when I first started, and I found it easier just chatting to people or like having chat there was nicer than just queuing up on my own. Was really a big thing that kept me going at the start, where I was like, I get to chat away to people, or even if I was playing Survivor, like while I was also chatting to my friends in a call or whatever, and they were inspiring me to keep going and keep playing. Chat being there and just getting to talk to new people coming in and things like that inspired me more so than watching anyone in particular.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, like again, I didn't really have any necessarily like person inspire me, but I started streaming after I played in like my first ever community tournament, and I played back there for a while. I played in a lot of those tournaments, and the community, it was a very close knit community, and most of the people in that community wanted to see me stream or like was like, you should definitely stream, you should do this, that, and whatever. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'll give it a go. And I tried it and I had a lot of fun. I did enjoy it, so I kept at it for a while. And obviously, I took my long break. And again,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say I was necessarily inspired, but funnily enough, the thought to start streaming again came because of Celeste. I was like in one of CelestialStory's streams, and I was like, man, this is quite fun. I remember when I streamed, and I quit because I didn't think my streams were good enough because I was on Xbox and like they weren't very well set up. But I just moved to PC recently, so I then realized, oh wait, the reason I quit streaming isn't a problem anymore. I could actually just stream as well. So then
Mm-hmm.
I decided I'd try and come back to streaming, and Celeste actually helped me set a lot of that up as well. So big thanks to them, the goat. And then yeah, I came back for a bit. So that's kind of my inspiration behind like it's not really necessarily people, but they're like a specific streamer, but there's been like little things here and there and moments that have inspired me.
It makes me incredibly happy to hear that obviously I helped you set things up and that in a weird way I also helped you start streaming again for a bit.
Yeah, it's cool.
Uh,
And yet it still hasn't inspired you to play on keyboard and mouse. Like, what is going on?
yeah, that's something I need to get on, honestly. I need to show off my keyboard and mouse, like setup or something.
I'm not sure anyone
Hell
can convince me to do that. That's a tough one.
So then Celeste, like the whole VTuber, what made you want to do a VTuber and what like inspired your design or like what made you think up your design?
So, het interesting thing about VTubing is, initially, it didn't have any inspiration. It was just, hey, I'm trying to entertain some people. Like, there's some cuties who start checking me out, and I would like to see how far I can take it. So, I was looking for ways to improve my streaming, and I was like, yo, I cannot do any cam at the moment. I'm not comfortable with having a camera looking at me straight up and people see my face. So, I
Mhm.
was like, you know what? Instead of setting up a camera, going through that hassle and shit, and going through that like anxiety, I'm just gonna start a VTuber. There are like free examples of VTubers you could download on Steam, and I was like, you know what, we're gonna try it and see how it goes. And I really, really liked it. It was really cool to see like a virtual character on the other's monitor looking around with whatever you do. Um, and obviously that was my very first model then, and then I moved on to a secondary model as like a temporary model for me to move to my third model finally. The final model that we're
Mhm.
using now.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. So it is.
It's amazing. I love the model, and it was a full year that we worked on that model. it's it was a lot of backtracking, a lot of problems, a lot of like solutions looking in a lot of money, unfortunately.
Definitely worth all the hassle though.
Yeah, absolutely. I am absolutely in love with how the model came out, and we am so happy that I actually went for a lore video. Initially, we didn't have any lore. Initially, it was just a character with who I
Mhm.
played. But then afterwards, I was like, you know what? We have some spare time. Let me try to get like a lore video in or something so people can have something to watch. And eventually, with that, a lot of like role playing came in, like play and Twitch. And now then there was this whole evil celestial story bit that was really, really funny. And things just escalated to be funnier and funnier to watch. And it was great.
I think it's definitely a good way to put a face on the stream without maybe like or like while keeping things separate from your personal life and things like that. I think it's definitely
Mm-hmm.
a very good way to have that like face whenever people come in to see it and know right that's Celeste. You know, it's really good for that.
It's very interesting because initially, with my first and secondary model, we had a lot of issues that people didn't recognize me for my character.
Mhm.
A lot of people recognized me because of my voice. They would come in
Mhm.
the stream and they would barely notice the characters in like the corner. It was only until the third model that people really started seeing like my model and recognizing that as my branding.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I had to upgrade a lot of things to get here, and the tracking and stuff was really hard to set up. So
Mm-hmm. It's a very cool thing to have in though, and I'm sure like After all this time, you're glad to have it.
Dude, I have moments where I literally just put it up on the background just to see how good it is and stuff. So yeah.
That's awesome. So, what would be your favorite game to stream whenever you are streaming?
That is a very interesting topic. You would think that I have a certain game that I would just love playing, like DBD. I play DBD all the time. So people would think, oh, Celeste, that ends is super easy. DBD. It's not DBD. DBD has its
Mhm.
moments where it's really, really fun and really, really unfun. And there are other games that are really, really fun sometimes to stream. And sometimes they aren't as fun to stream. I have noticed that when I stream a game, it's not necessarily about the game itself, but about the
Mhm.
experience around it, the people who join you with the stream, who check you out, who talk with you and stuff. So yeah, I have noticed that I don't really have a favorite game per se. Like any game that I start streaming could either turn out to be a really, really like fun stream, or could become a little bit less fun of a stream, like depending on how the game goes.
Mhm. I've definitely seen like some random games you've been playing where I've looked at it and went, that looks like a lot of fun, or you've made it look a lot of fun, you know? And I think definitely that one, I don't know the name of it. There was one and it was like a ball rolling and you had to try and stop it getting past certain points, or
Oh
like you had to
yes,
defend your end goal. That looked like a real fun one. I don't know
that
the name of it though.
it was Work of Ages. It's a game where the whole idea is that you are a boulder, and well, you aren't a boulder necessarily. You are like this like statue or something. It's kind of hard to explain, and it's like imagine that every war in history was fought with boulders rolling off cliffs instead of weapons and stuff. That's kind of
Mhm.
the whole vibe of the game. It's really, really amusing, and I really highly recommend you guys checking it out if you haven't.
Yeah, those streams are really, really fun. I always loved it when I saw you play Rock of Ages as well. Lots of good memories with those.
So then if you
What's
were to pick one moment as a streamer that you just think that was my favorite time, or like that was my favorite stream because of something that happened in it or anything like that, would you have a particular moment that you could look back on and go, yeah, that's the moment I was really happy that I was streaming?
There are two. I have like two big moments. It's kind of hard to pick my favorite. There was one that was kind of the hardest, but at the same time my favorite. I guess my favorite stream still has to be that my subathon, my debuts, my like third character debuts, because that's we did a lot of role playing back then. Like it was also the moment when we saw everything come in like fruition. We saw everything suddenly becoming reality and stuff. We saw all a bunch of people like super excited to be there. Like chat was just full of action. Like people were happy. It was a really really fun stream, and it lasted long. People were supportive of that of the subathon, and obviously it's also the birthday, so it was a birthday stream that also brings excitement. And in general, that was by far I think my favorite moment in my stream career so far. It isn't a specific moment. Actually, no, there is a specific moment in there during the subathon, and it's gonna sound a bit funny, but during the subathon, in the very, very end, I decided to do something funny, a bit special for a bit. I
Mm-hmm.
decided for the last 5 minutes that I would like basically cap the timer to 5 minutes so people can no longer like extend it, and we
Mm-hmm.
would watch a bunch of clips from the past with like my audience while we played Titanic music in the background. It
Oh, that's
sounds
cool.
It was so fucking good. It was an emotional moment because obviously I didn't realize it was going to be that impactful. I thought it was more like memey and funny and stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but in the end, people in chat started like waving goodbyes and stuff, and the really dramatic music started playing in the background while you were watching these like clips of memories and what you have like experienced in the last year. That really got me. I cried in the end, and it was so hard to not cry. I loved it so much.
That's awesome.
Well, how about you guys, though?
I think my favorite one probably very recently, and it was the as a whole the charity month, and just seeing how good my community reacted to it and how involved they got, like not even donating but just like coming in and supporting the charity, and anytime someone new came in they were all spamming the command and everything, getting awareness out for it. And it was like I realized I have a real good wholesome community whenever that all happened, and like a real supportive community behind me.
That
What
is
about you,
actually
Wise?
really fun to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like, I don't know. There's moments that like there's moments that weren't that special at the time that I look back on and think are a bit more special. And there's like moments that like I think for if I had to pick, like, I kind of think in between two when I think of this. I think the getting the 100 like nurse win for the nurse win streak I did, that was really really
Mhm.
satisfying. Like, I loved that moment. That was great. Finally reaching that after 100 games was like
Mhm.
definitely definitely a great moment, and everyone was very excited about that. It was very good times. I also think the 48-hour stream was really really fun. So
Mhm.
that whole stream was kind of like, that's not a moment, but I'd say that stream was just great. So I think if I have to pick a moment, because the 48-hour stream seems like a cop out because it's like it's a full stream. So I'm gonna say the getting the 100th win with Nurse was like the best Twitch moment for me. That was like really really fun. So everyone, like, going on the whole journey with everyone to get there was a really great feeling.
What I found the most special thing about it, actually, I was mostly there for everything. I think I saw the end when you got the 100th victory. Um, I just loved seeing how many people on Steam were also supportive and
Yeah.
like during your games. Like you would think when you play a killer like the nurse, which is usually seen as like a pretty unfun killer to go against for a lot of people. People generally don't like that. You would think that a lot of people, a lot of survivors would be raging, would be angry, would not be happy to that you do this. But there are so many people who came into like your post game shit and were like, GG's, congrats with your win, or you're getting closer, blah blah. I even saw on your Steam page that somebody was literally like, congrats on your 100th victory on
Yeah.
nurse or something. It's wholesome to see.
Yeah, it was really nice. There's a lot of cool people for sure. I also, on that topic, I remember, like, because Stumpy's here, I remember there was a clip that Stumpy really likes, and I think that also made the game more special. Is it was a really close game for the 100th one. It went down to one gen, and like there was this moment in the middle of the game where we're at 3 gens. I pick up a survivor, and like a survivor runs out of nowhere. Flashlight saves me. I'm like, and then 2 gens pop at the exact same time. I'm like, fuck my life. And that
Yeah.
game, like, I think that moment and like the game being so close and it being on the 99th win, like for 100 wins, it was like made it so much more special as well.
I remember being in bits laughing at that as soon as I seen it. It was just the blind, and all you could see on the screen was the blind animation. And then as soon as that ended, bing, bing, 2 gens, and you just, oh, fuck my life. It's just so funny.
Yeah, it's a good clip.
Fair enough,
It's a
honestly.
great clip. Oh. Do you guys have any advice for anybody starting to stream? Like, if someone was saying, right, I'm going to boot up my first stream this weekend, I've never done it before, never had any experience in it before, apart from just watching people, what would be your, like, one big piece of advice for them?
So, there's a lot of advice, but like if I have to give one really big advice, it's gonna be honestly depending a little bit on context. Like if people are like going in with the idea that they want to do it as a full-time thing, like they are excited, they want to grow a community, they want to grow, and they want to have a full-time thing going on, then my advice would be to be consistent, to make sure that you tell your audience what you're doing, and make sure to be realistic as well. If it's for somebody who was there for like a hobby, for fun, for like the memories and stuff, my biggest advice would be to just try and always look for talk conversations, like fun ones. Don't try and milk like talk conversations. Don't be like, okay, how's the weather over there? How is the weather there? Look for like questions. Talk about like a past experience in your life, something that actually made you smile, like a joke or something, like something that you experienced in the past that you generally laughed at. Like for example, that little clip thing that Wise just explained, that would be a perfect like thing to talk about on stream. If people smile, if people hear your smile, sorry, then people are so more likely to click on your stream and stick around because they like hearing positivity, and that will generally also create more positive moments on stream.
Mm-hmm. It's a good piece of advice, to be fair. I would say mine would be yourself, because I've kind of been around a little while now, and I've met streamers who
you can say, are the exact same on stream as they are off. And then I've also met, luckily not that many, but some streamers who are completely different on stream to off stream. And I don't know how they keep it up for that long on stream. They're like sort of fake persona. And I think it's just so much handier to be yourself. And right from the start, if you just be yourself, if chat sees all your different emotions and just gets to know you as a person, you can get a lot like more into your community of like linking up with them and chatting with them more and being real with them. Whereas if you're putting out something fake from the start, a lot of people are going to see right through it first and foremost, and
Mhm.
you're gonna crack. You're not gonna keep it up. Like my chat at this stage has seen me having fun. They've heard my real ugly laugh when I find something hilarious. They've seen me angry, sad, whatever, but it's real and it helps them like sort of feel more included in the community when they're like, right, we know this streamer's being genuine. They're not like putting up a front for content.
Mhm.
Wait, hold on. We gotta spill the tea. We gotta start some internet beef here. You mentioned you don't know many streamers like that. Who are they?
I am
Call them
not
out right
naming
now.
names.
Yeah,
Call
come
them out
on.
on the
Spill the
podcast.
beans.
Come on,
Not at
Stumpy.
all.
Who are these fake, disgusting streamers you're talking about? Tell me how repulsive they are.
No chance at all.
Okay,
Now,
fine.
to be fair, Stumpy, though, that's actually something very interesting that you're mentioning now. There are some people that I know that actually do that. And
Mhm.
in a weird way, I understand why they do it as well. Like, there's two arguments here that I can make about this. The first one is obviously you cannot necessarily always be negative on stream if you're like trying to
Mhm.
grow and have a good community and spread positivity. Sometimes you just cannot be negative on stream. It sucks, but sometimes you just cannot be too realistic about everything that's going on in your life. Because if you are, I mean, if you want to like make people happy, then obviously nobody's gonna like to watch somebody be sad, on stream.
Mhm.
That's being said though, I think a lot of community members would still like to see you being realistically and like be open as well. So it's a bit more debatable there. But then the
Mhm.
second bigger topic I have to talk about is a lot of VTubers actually tend to roleplay a certain character. They have the
Hmm.
idea that they're like it's playing a different character entirely. Like, how would you think about those people then?
I would find it very hard to do myself. I think if like I understand people do characters, and I've seen a lot of sort of especially DVD YouTubers might do, for example, the toxic killer character, but for 8 hours at a time. That's fucking mental in my eyes. I would be sitting there going, "How can I keep this up?" So
Dude,
they're very impressive, but I couldn't do it myself. I find it a lot more easier to just be me.
there is one streamer, I don't know what their name exactly is. I might have to do some research afterwards and tell you afterwards. But there's a streamer who always like cosplays as like Michael Myers, and he's always playing on Haddonfield, and he does like everything, the animations, the stalking, he does everything top notch. Like he would go to like the house and then like stalk from a window in the background and worry them and then go back to stalking, and they would not even care about generators, they would not care about gens, they would not care about how the game goes. They would just simply do everything to roleplay the character as much as possible. And
Mhm.
it's crazy because one day I came into the stream. I don't know this person. I don't watch them usually. I came into the stream and I just saw like a Maya's cosplay, staring at the camera, not saying a word. Sometimes like breathing loudly. And then whenever they're mooring somebody, they would like grab this fake knife and start stabbing and going back to whatever they were doing before, like stalking through a window. It was creepy, but at the same time, it was impressive to see how he was doing it and how well he was playing the character.
Yeah, I think for stuff like that, there are definitely niches you could do, and if you're committed to it, fair play to you. But if it's just in general that you want to start streaming, I would say it's a lot easier just to act like yourself than to act out a character, unless you are 100% set that, yes, I want to be this character every time I hit that go live button. Then that would just be my advice.
I do agree with that actually, yeah. What about you guys?
I mean, yes, agreed, for real. I don't really
Like,
have a whole lot more to add about it than that, but like, I think that is very, very, very good advice. To be fair, my best piece of advice. The thing is, like, my streaming advice feels a bit like a little bit disconnected because all of my time streaming has been like in chunks. So it's a little bit more difficult for me. I would just say, I mean, I was going to say the same thing, but I feel like I want to pick something different now because you guys have said that.
Mhm.
I would say maybe don't feel pressured into doing something you don't want to do. There's a lot of people that will stream like a specific game or they'll change their stream to a specific way. Like a lot of people play a character to get more like viewers and whatnot. The same way a lot of people will also play the same game all the time to get a lot of viewers, and that's fine. But if you're not enjoying that anymore, you need to change the game. But a lot of people will just keep doing the same thing they're not enjoying, and then wonder why they're not happy with streaming. And that's not a good idea. You've got to always put a mix of performance and your enjoyment. And if you focus too much on either, it might hurt your Twitch channel. That would be my advice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is
That's
good.
good advice. Yeah.
I don't mean to jump in with more advice, but I've thought of another one. It's like, don't take things too personally. Because I know, especially whenever people see that TTV in your name when you're playing a game, they'll come in the chat, they'll ridicule you, they'll try and say whatever they can to get a reaction. And a lot of it is very nasty, and a lot of it should not be said on Twitch. And a lot of it, if they were standing in front of you, they would not say to your face. But you've got to sort of take everything that, all the abuse that you will get, because you will. It happens in pretty much every game. You got to take it all with a pinch of salt. Because, like, you could be, DBD example, you could be playing fucking perkless. You could play the most nice game. You could one hook everybody and then two hook everybody. You could play it the most fair, and they will still come in and they will call you this, that, the other, tell you to do certain things. And you just got to let it come off your back like water off a duck's back and just say, right, that dickhead is not part of my community. I've got all these people who love watching what I'm doing. Don't worry about the shit that people come in and say. The one off, you'll probably never see them again. They're just trying to get a reaction. It's probably best just not to entertain them.
Vice actually said something to me recently that actually kind of influenced me a little bit on that. I have a lot of trouble banning people on my channel. Like when people are not following the rules and stuff, I have a lot of trouble, actually just grabbing the ban hammer and just being like, okay, get out of here, poof. I can't do that. Not usually, at least. But Vice recently came in and said to me, literally, we were talking about it, and he said at one point, I don't know how the conversation exactly went, but he said, do you truly want this person to represent your community? Like when somebody joins in the chat with a raid or whatever, is a person like this truly what what you want them to see? And that influenced me a little bit more on that. Obviously we were all trying to build a cool community, and if there's a toxic head in there, do you really truly want that person to represent your community? Is that something I learned from that?
Good advice. Good advice.
We've managed to turn it into a fun part of stream now. Whenever somebody toxic comes into the stream, it's gone from like my community trying to fight back and stand up for me. It's changed from that to pretty much everybody in my chat just goes, Stumpy, show the screen. And I have a special screen now for my streams where it's like a go next stream, and it's Elsa singing Let It Go. So that they'll just let it go and go to their next game. And it's kind of become a meme now. It's if we see anybody toxic, the screen goes up.
I saw that. I found it so funny.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I think that's also one of the most beautiful things about streaming sometimes for me. The fact that you can just be so creative. You can do almost whatever you want to.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best. It's like whenever you come up with something and you've maybe not seen it before, and then other people see it and want to take like inspiration from it, it feels great. So it does. So then moving on to the topic of Dead by Daylight, because it's a massive part of all of our streaming, and it's a game that we all have put way too many hours into. Who would be your DBD mains if you were to pick a killer main and a survivor main? Who would be your two?
I mean, my number one main on Survivor, I'm a through and through Survivor main, so I play very rarely killer. But my number one player is still Kate. I still played Kate Hansen a lot. It's my first and only PR100 that I have in DBD. But on killer, it's a bit more of an interesting question. That has changed a lot over the year. I play killer every blue moon. I play it very rarely. And when I play it, I usually have a different main. To start off, I had Huntress as my first main ever. And then it quickly moved over to a Hillbilly. And now it's Dragon at the moment, so it's went through some phases.
Fair. I need to be careful about which survivor I say because there's two groups of my followers. There's the ones that have seen me P100 Sable and they're like, oh, he's a Sable main. He's always going to be a Sable main. And then there's like the older ones, the ones that have been in my stream a long time that are absolutely seething that I've not got Claire to P100. I kind of got her to P60 and then just left her there whenever I swapped to Sable. And I'm constantly getting messages going, when are you going to get Claire to P100? She's your real main. When are you going to do it? So I'd have to say probably split 50-50 between those two, and I will have to get Claire to P100 or I will be lynched at some stage. And then Killer has to be unreal. It's gotten to the stage where like most of my community sees me as the Unreal main, which is really nice. Like I've seen members of my community in other people's chats, and I'll be just sitting watching, but they'll come up against an Unreal and they'll be like, "This Unreal is pretty good," and my chat will go, "It might be Stumpy, it might be Stumpy," or like people from my chat will say that, and I'm like, I'm becoming known for Unreal. That's nice. So that she has to be mine, I would say.
All right. Well, also on the topic of your survivor mains, there might be one strange person that thinks of Nancy Wheeler first instead of either of those two. When
You think so?
I think of Nancy when I think of you on Survivor, because
Really?
because when I first saw you, when I first got to see your streams and like saw you in our old team, you were quite big on Nancy and like you had Nancy in the thumbnails. I think of a couple of your videos as well, maybe. And
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
to
I
me,
was briefly.
yeah, I think of Nancy now instead of Sable or Claire. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
I
one
think
of
that was
them.
in my comp stage where I was like, Nancy's comp, I'll play her instead of Claire because Claire is the loudest survivor I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, no, Claire is really loud. But
Yeah.
on my DVD mains, okay. I mean, on Survivor, I am more of an ace player, I would say. When I started, I was kind of like I played like very briefly Fang and Meg, but I didn't really main them. I just kind of played for like a couple of games here and there, and then I mained Leon.
Mhm.
And then kind of swapped to Fang, and then I mained Ace pretty much. So yeah, it's Ace is my current Survivor main. I do like some other survivors like Nier and Claudette and stuff as well, but Ace is my main on Survivor. As for Killer, I used to main Nurse when I started DBD for like the first year, but since then I played Variety. And yeah, I've kind of not really looked back. I'm still more of a variety killer. I've kind of cut things down a little bit. Now I split my time between just 4 killers now, just recently. Used to play the whole like half of the roster, but a week ago I decided I would actually just play 4 killers. So I have been playing Nurse, Chucky, Billy, and Blight. So you could say any of those, but I'd still say variety because there's still a lot of killers there.
I was actually
Nurse
gonna
main.
say, I was gonna say similarly to how you think of me as a Nancy, I think of you as a Chucky because when I first met you, you were playing Chucky a lot.
Okay.
So you were, and you were telling me things about Chucky that I just didn't have a clue on. You were telling me, "Oh, this is definitely his best add-on because it does this, this, and this," and I was like, I didn't even know what his power did. Thank you so much.
Yeah, he's a really fun killer. I do like him. It's always interesting to hear what people say about my killer main because I've had variety for such a long time. But there's a lot of people that would say any of those four. I think Nurse is still the most popular, but there are definitely a few that would say Blight. There's a couple that would say Billy and Chucky as well. So it's interesting.
And of course, offline, you spend all your time playing Skull Merchant. We know that much.
That's true. Yeah, I
That's
love
my
myself some
main.
offline skill merchant.
Secret P100 Skull Merchant, but you just never show it on stream.
It's true. How do you know?
And speaking of the Skull Merchant, she's getting a big change soon with the upcoming DBD update. So, what are your guys' thoughts on it? Because they're changing a few things up.
God, this is a bit of a scary topic because I don't know what the hell they're thinking. Like, okay, they're gonna nerf Skull Merchants. We all saw this coming. Skull Merchant is a not healthy killer in DBD. It's I think the biggest problem with skirmishes, personally, is that a lot of people don't like a stereotype. It's not even about her kid. It's not about what she does. It's about her stereotype at this point. People are never gonna see through her stereotype. So I don't think people are gonna ever truly see skirmishes as a normal killer, even if her whole kit is balanced to be fun. Like they could give her blight powers, and I think people are still gonna hate her, you know. But I'm happy that they're gonna at least nerf them for now, and I'm hoping that the rework will hopefully bring her a bit more to the table in the fun killers category. What they are doing though, which I'm completely not agreeing with, is they're changing her perks in a really scary way, in my opinion. One of her perks specifically, leverage. They're changing it now. Where I don't know the exact numbers, but I believe that in like tier 3 leverage will like slow down healing for the person who unhooks a survivor by 50%, which I think is just utterly disgusting, honestly. I think it's the same as like Sloppy Butcher, and I think it will just be meta on every killer. Because the survivor who unhooks another survivor always tends to heal the survivor who got unhooked. So it's guaranteed slowdown, and it's a lot of slowdown as well. Especially stacked with Sloppy Butcher as well, which I'm really scared of, honestly.
I was gonna say maybe one good side of that could be people might stop healing under hook, because there are a lot of people who complain about, oh, the killer came back and killed me when we were healing under hook, and it's like, yes, because the killer knew exactly where you'd be because you heal under hook every time.
Yeah, that's true.
Why would they go and look for someone when they know, well, it's been 10 seconds, but they're probably still standing there? I guess
that's kind of the thing that scares me though. Like now it just feels like I don't think anyone will be able to heal properly. Like it's gonna take way too long to actually heal, and obviously they can still look for all the survivors to heal with, and that will obviously run a little bit more, but I don't know. I'm really scared about leverage. I think it's gonna be a meta perk on every killer until it gets nerfed.
I think leverage is going to be completely terrible. I don't think it's good at all. I don't see why anyone would want to use it.
We
Not a
always
good
do that,
perk.
Wise.
Like I don't think leverage is good whatsoever. But it's better than it was, but it's still like really weak in my opinion. Like if you are like in close proximity and you decide to hard tunnel someone and they happen not to have anti-tunnel perks and they happen to be in a bad area and don't run a long chase, then I guess, and you know, also someone tried to heal them and they would have got the heal off in time, then maybe it was good in that one specific situation. But like any other situation, I think it's not very helpful at all. There's a lot of alternative things you can do with that time.
I think another perk that I'm kind of excited to see what happens with it is crowd control, because I see at tier 3
Don't say
it blocks the last 5 vault
Don't say
locations,
it.
and I don't know if that
Don't say
means the
Don't
last 5
fucking
windows,
say it.
because it says vault locations and not specifically windows.
And underneath.
So I would love to see it if it does show pallets.
Have you read the dev notes underneath the perk where it says, going forward, the most recently vaulted windows will be blocked until the hex is cleansed?
I did not read that bit,
Well,
but still,
might give
blocking
you
the
the
last
answer.
5 windows could be very strong. You think of like, if you load in on Larry's,
Yeah.
people tend to take windows more than pallets in Larry's because there's a lot of windows. It could be really good for the likes of that.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting to see. It'll be good, I think, anyway. Like, you might just have to suck it up and break some pallets, but if you get someone in a TNL, that kind of just renders the TNL completely useless after one loop of it. Shack, if they hop through the shack window and go to do another loop, they have to use the pallet or they're taking a hit. It's just, I think it'll be a strong perk. Obviously, it can always be cleansed, which makes it a bit more balanced, but I think it'll be cool to see. And on certain killers, it could be very good, especially if paired with Dracula's perk that blocks you from cleansing a totem first time.
Absolutely. Also, there's another perk that I think is going to be really, really strong in one specific killer. Not that I'm a nurse main or anything, but Predator. When a survivor escapes a chase, reveal that aura for 6 seconds. This on nurse is insane. You can legit, because you'll be in chase when you hit them. So you just hit them, and you just turn away and like do your old like Legion moonwalk thing. Just turn around and moonwalk after them. If they run into you, you're gonna hear them and they're gonna die. And if they don't, you're gonna lose chase. The aura is gonna get revealed for 6 seconds. You turn around, you're nurse. You have the aura for 6 seconds. You're gonna down them probably. So this perk on nurse, this is like basically once you get the hit, you're gonna get an immediate follow up very quickly. So this is a really, really good pick, I would say. And
You know what it could actually be very cool on with that? If you paired that with play with your food and you were chasing your obsession, you could get a little speed boost there as well as knowing where they're going.
yeah,
Pretty much giving you a great chance to catch them out.
yeah. I mean, play with food obviously not for nurse necessarily, but it would be a good combo for others for sure. But yeah. Also pair this with lethal, and that's 8 seconds aura read. Again, someone like nurse, this is just a free down. 8 seconds of aura reading when you turn around and lose chase. So I think this will be really strong on her. I'm interested to try that. But yeah, I think the rest of the perks are pretty tame changes. Machine learning's nice that you can just activate it on the first gen you kick now. That's cool. Survivor perks exist, but they're survivor perks, so I will not talk about them. But but yeah, I think they're quite cool.
Wasn't there not like one really interesting survivor perk that were changing?
No, it's a survivor perk.
Hold on, hold up. Let me actually quickly look it up. Feel free to move on to the next.
Well, I was actually going to say, what do you guys think of finisher Moris that are coming in?
I'm so excited about it. I actually think that's actually really cool. Especially because they are adding it in such a way that it doesn't really interrupt the flow of the game too much now. Because it's just this less survivor. The less survivor is morrible. Like 9 out of 10 scenarios when you have a less survivor in the trial, they're not getting out anyway. Like if they're on the ground, like already slugged, then they're not making it out anyway. So being able to just morry them adds a little bit of additional like spice to the game, which I think is cool. I have heard a very interesting theory about it actually. From I think it was like a blight. I don't really remember their name anymore, but like a blight main, and they had a theory that they might try and add like custom like Mori animations in the future, like pay to win or paid, like almost like DLC, like Moris, which would be
Kind of like
interesting.
they did for the Huntress.
Yeah, and exactly, yeah. And I think that could be really cool to see, you know. And I think the Mori changes with, I think that what they're trying to do is they're trying to remove the idea that people sweat too much when they have a Mori. And I just want to give a Mori for free so that Survivor and Killer's mains don't have to worry about spending too much in the games, which I think is nice.
I think it'll be cool as well, just getting to see the Mori then in more games instead of like just the 4 hooks to kill them. You know, and if you've got that last person and you're like, right, I can kill them by hand here. I get to see the Mori. This could be fun. Just brings that element of fun in a bit.
Absolutely. I think there might be less, maybe a little bit less hatch giving here and there though, because people are more incentivized to get the final kill. But it's definitely gonna be very, very cool to see. It's a nice addition to the game for sure.
Also, you said about like maybe custom Moris coming in the future. Do you think it would maybe be a priority of behavior to update some of the Moris of the original killers? Because I can't remember which 3 it is, but they all have very similar Moris. I think it might be Trapper, Wraith, and someone else, and it's just hitting with their weapon. And it's just very basic, and they could do so much more with it. I mean, obviously, Naughty Bear has his own Mori, but it would be cool to see the Trapper maybe get a reworked one as the original killer.
I think that would be really good as change, especially. I think the third survivor killer who has that problem is Huntress. Huntress is also, I think, just a couple of slashes and that's it. I think reworking those more animations to make them cool and part of the game could be really fun.
Yeah, like I can remember sort of in early life of DBD, Hag coming in. Everyone thought that was a really cool thing about her. She had this custom Mori where she does something that is lore accurate, and you're going, right, that's pretty fucking cool. Like, I hope to do that for a lot more killers coming forward. And they have, like, Dracula's one is a great example of that, where he does just, it's so much cooler than a vampire just like sucking blood normally. It's the filling up the wine glass and drinking it. It's pretty awesome. And I'd love to see them just rework some of the older killers where they have a much more interesting Mori. You don't have to make it longer than the Mori they have now, just something interesting, something cool to see, you know?
I think that could also be really cool. It's going to spice up the killer side of the DBD a little bit more, and I think changes like that are good because we had the traditional 4 hooking for a long time now.
I think definitely behavior need to be held accountable for the fact that they brought in a mobile Onryo skin and didn't bring the Mori that came with it into. But like, I'm not salty or not.
Definitely salty. I also did a little bit of research on the Survivor perks I've been talking about, and there are some big changes. A couple of really cool ones. I think the most notable one that I instantly see, or one of the bigger ones, is the teamwork perks that they're completely, at least a little bit reworking. There is a bit of lingering effect now when you basically leave like the zone. So you can, like, if you're playing with your teammate and you're trying to do a speed build, you will be able to leave the zone, like where it like affects each other. And then, like, if you go back in the zone a couple seconds later, then it will stay active, which I think is going to make the perk at least fun if you continue to try it as a speed build. It's not going to be good, but then another big thing that I saw with Poised is that when you start doing a generator, you will also see the killer aura for 6 seconds, which could be interesting.
Yeah, it could be really good actually.
And then, a big thing is with Blood Rush apparently. Whenever you're unhooked, you can use it once, but it will no longer heal you. So yeah, if you get unhooked, you can use a double sprint burst, which is kind of cool.
Them buffing the teamwork perks makes me think that maybe we could see more teamwork perks coming in the new releases, because like it happened with boons before, where you've seen obviously Circle of Healing, and then suddenly we had Exponential, we had Dark Theory, we had all these other boon perks coming in. Maybe they might do the same with teamwork perks, or maybe it's something that they think they didn't bring out in the best way when they originally came out, and they still think it's a great idea and they want to work on it. So it'll be interesting to see.
I think so. What I'm more hoping for is that they finally bring out more ritual perks, incantation perks, because they obviously brought one out for Sable a couple of months ago, but they haven't really touched it since. It would be really cool, I think, to have more invocation perks where, like, if you go to a specific spot, maybe like a main building, you can like sit there for like, I don't know, 20 seconds and you can do another special effect. And I think that would be a really creative way of maybe like pricing up the game a little bit more, making it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, definitely would.
Also, Vice.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What do you think of Ascension Tactics? What do you think of the revamp there?
I was gonna talk about that actually. So Zanshin, I think like I'm not sure what to make of it exactly. Like it took a little bit of like rereading just to be like, wait, what the hell is it talking about? But
it's
essentially it's like when Survivor is within 6 meters of a drop pallet and you're also close to that drop pallet, the aura will be revealed for 10 seconds or whatnot. It's an interesting one. I don't think it'll be that good. I think it might get like you the occasional hit against maybe some players who don't have particularly good awareness or like positioning. But the thing is, this is not going to help you on like a really strong loop. You're gonna, it doesn't matter if you can see the survivor there. It's so too long. You're not gonna hit them. Most of the time, anyway. And if it's a bad loop, then there's a chance you'll get more value, but it's a bad loop. You're probably gonna get a hit if you're a good killer anyway. Like these can be bloodlusted and played around a lot easier. So survivors with proper positioning, it doesn't really matter whether you can see their aura on a lot of these tiles. So I don't think it's gonna help a lot for most killers. Maybe if you have a killer with range power like Slinger or Huntress, maybe you can get you a hit here and there, or maybe Nemi with a whip. But like generally, I don't think this is a good perk for most killers. There's just a couple. Executioner could be interesting. Maybe it could be good for him. But I don't know. I think it's okay. It's a nice
the thing that I am excited about it sounds more like a counter to my troubleshooter because I like Turn so much. It's like, I can see your aura, but you can see my aura. It's gonna be really funny. I think it's literally just troubleshooter but for killers. That's how I see it at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's kind of similar, to be fair. I think Troubleshooter has a lot more value, though, on Survivor than this does for Killer. Generally, like, aura reading is a lot better for Survivors than Killers, unless you are the nurse specifically. Then it changes a little bit.
Well, it would counter my like troubleshooter play that I like to do, where I drop a pallet and I will like wait until they try a mind game and look a direction where they don't see where I'm running to, and then start running. But
Hmm.
obviously, if they can see that through the walls, then that will kind of just defeat that point of having the R rating. So I think it's gonna be really funny that the killer brings sentient tactics, and my whole troubleshooter perk is just kind of destroyed. But so is their perk against me. So
Yeah.
True. Just two people looking through the wall at each other.
hello, what's
Pretty
up?
funny.
The best thing is that both of them don't even know about it. So
Yeah. So then FNAF is also coming into DBD. For those of you who don't know what FNAF is, it's Five Nights at Freddy's. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
you want to go first, Vice, or
Sure. I think like on the whole, it's very cool. It's been announced very early. It's something that I wanted for a while, but it's not. It was up there. I'd prefer a chapter like Slender or maybe Art the Clown or an SCP sort of character, but Five Nights at Freddy's definitely much sought after chapter by a lot of the community. I think it'll be a very interesting one to see. So yeah, I'm quite excited about it, but I don't really know how they're gonna go about it yet, and it's very early days, so it's not really a lot more I have to say other than I'm looking forward to seeing what they bring.
Mhm. I think I'm a bit scared for this chapter because, in my opinion, I'm a bit worried on how they're going to implement the chapter. If they choose the wrong characters, if they like do it wrong, then I'm very worried that it's going to look very similar to like a Gmod character running after you. You know, like if you can imagine like one of the Freddy animatronics or whatever running after you with like a crowbar, I am very worried it's going to look very derpy and very wrong in DBD if they don't implement it correctly. I don't think that they can truly make an animatronic run after somebody without it looking a bit derpy because they're so big and clunky. You know, they're robots.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, if they were to add something like this, and it's a bit of a spicy topic, I don't think everybody's going to agree with this. I would love to see a completely twist up on what they usually do with killers. I would love to, instead of your traditional looping and stuff, if you had more like like a bit like a ghost face mechanic, a bit more of a scary element where you have to look around and look for something because they could be stalking you or whatever, or they could be attacking you in other ways, and if you don't spot it in time, it can injure you or something like that. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
they can maybe like add in some traditional like looping with some small things like a bit like similar to like the twins, but as long as it's like the main element is more about the scary element, about looking around and looking for this thing that's not supposed to be there, I think that could be cool. If they add a simple pop that is running after you with a crowbar, like in Gmod, that's kind of what worries me a bit. So yeah, it depends. I'm excited for the chapter, but I'm worried about how they're going to implement it.
I think that announcing it a year in advance is definitely a brave move, but also could sink the entire chapter because realistically, everyone is now sitting here for the next year coming up with theories, coming up with ideas, coming up with, oh, what if they do it like this? What if we see this character instead of this one? And when it does come out, there's a good chance that everyone just kind of goes, oh, this is not what we thought it would be. This doesn't live up to the expectations, or like people will build up this idea in their head that it's going to be the most amazing chapter, and it was announced so early, everybody has this time to let it run through their head that when it finally comes out, I think they could leave themselves that nothing will be good enough. No matter how good they make this chapter, it still won't live up to the amount of hype that's going to be around it from announcing it a year in advance. And that
Mm-hmm.
would be my big worry for it. I mean, obviously, there's going to be the people that at the very start go, oh my god, Five Nights at Freddy's is in DBD. This is class. But then a week, maybe 2 weeks after, people might go, this isn't what we expected. This is a big letdown. Why have they done this? And I think that's the danger of announcing it so early. Like, I think it would have been probably safer to just bring it out, bang, there it is. Think what you want of it.
I
Instead of it's coming out in a year. Now you just can go mad over it.
I talked a little bit with Wise about this earlier, and I think one of the reasons why, it's my theory, it could be wrong, but I think one of my reasons why, or their reasons why they actually brought it out when they brought it out, is because DBD didn't have much of a choice when actually they announced it. I think because FNAF, the developer of FNAF, announced it on like their 10 years anniversary. They had like this weird like whole week where they would announce a specific FNAF thing every day. I think it was like 10 days or something. I think because it had to happen right there and then. I think DBD just didn't have a choice in the matter. I think they were like, okay, you have to kind of announce it now. Because it's a big thing, and obviously it's part of the announcement from FNAF itself, so they cannot really wait to announce it either. It's the perfect moment to announce it is during their anniversaries, like things. So I think it was just a matter of, hey, this is how things lined up. You have to kind of announce it now.
Well, they've got a year to make it sort of the best it can be, and make sure they have it coming out perfectly. Like if it comes out with a lot of bugs, that could be a big issue. But with an entire year to prepare, I would like to think that what we get is a very polished and well versed chapter where they bring it out and there should not be a lot of problems. Or at least that's the hope. And it's not like a Twins rework sort of situation where they bring it out, it breaks the entire game, and we're all sitting here going, well, this will be what FNAF is forever remembered for in DBD.
Mm-hmm.
So then, if you were trapped in DBD, which killer do you think would be the scariest to go against? Say you just wake up someday and you're in a trial. You're sitting in the middle of a map and you don't know who's coming after you. What killer would you most dread seeing coming around the corner?
That's an interesting one because all killers obviously have some scary elements to them. I think the scariest one for me personally would probably be the clown. I think clown would be one of the number one killers I would actually be kind of afraid of. Simply because, they are big, they're obviously a bit scary, they're like a big like dudes running after you, that's never fun. They cut off your fingers as well, which is kind of scary, and you know that they throw some kind of gas at you, which slows you down, which I don't appreciate, I don't know, I think that's gonna be the killer I would be the most afraid of, especially because I don't really like clowns in real life anyway, so.
I think all of my answers would be some sort of ranged killer. I think if you're up against a huntress or a death slinger, if you're walking along and this hatchet hits a wall right beside you, you're going, oh shit. And that would be the panic. It's like, where did that come from? Where's the next one coming from? And what do I have to be afraid of? Or if I seen this old man coming around the corner with a feckin' harpoon pointed at my head, I'd be shiting myself. I'd be like, oh Jesus, this thing's coming straight through me. Like, that would be pretty scary. Similarly, then, a nurse. Just her appearing out of nowhere, seemingly, because she can blink, would be terrifying, I think. Because even when you think you're safe, you're around a corner, whatever, and she just seemingly spawns beside you, that would be terrifying.
Yeah, I think at the risk of being called a nurse man again, I would probably also say nurse is the scariest one for me to play against in like a real trial. That is the thought of, as you said, the thought of like just chilling, doing whatever, and then this like just nurse appearing in front of you out of nowhere. I mean, you don't have a terror radius in a real trial as well. Like in DBD, you don't get scared that much, that sort of thing, because you got warning. But if you're in a real trial, you ain't gonna know anything. You're just gonna be there, and then suddenly the nurse is gonna be there, and you're like, oh my fucking god. And and I don't think you'll even die half the time from the first hit as well. At least with some of these other killers, like if you go against Nemesis, it's like, okay, well, I'm just dead now. But nurse is probably gonna take a few hits unless like you get hit in a certain area. So that's gonna be like multiple times. Scary moments of just them teleporting on top of you out of nowhere. So I don't want that. I think that would be the scariest.
Yeah, I can actually see that as well. Or like a stall killer, like a Ghost Myers, or any of those killers. Maybe even Chucky would also be goddamn terrifying. You just chilling on a generator or trying to look, doing your own thing because you probably don't even know what a generator is at that point. But you do know what a generator is, but what to do with it. And then looking behind you and suddenly seeing a face in the shadows or something. That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
And similarly, talking about being trapped in like a DVD match, if you were, and you could only use something from the last movie you watched to protect yourself against the killer, how screwed are you? Or are you in a good place? Were you watching a movie where you could have a lot of things to protect yourself, or what sort of way are you?
Well, the last movie that I watched, and I'm not a big movie watcher, so it goes back quite a while. But the last movie I watched was, I think, like, I don't even know what the movie title is anymore, bro. Well, it's called, what was the movie that we watched together again? I completely
Scream
forgot.
5.
Scream 5, thank you.
Yeah.
We watched Scream 5 together, and I mean, I think it would be like a knife or something. That's, I think, my best option, or a gun. So
Yeah. The
That's
gun
not
might be
gonna-
the better option.
the gun might be the better option. I mean, I can now, I guess, use the gun against the nurse. No, I don't know. I'm screwed.
Yeah, the last one I watched was Deadpool, and I was thinking it would be good against some killers, maybe not against other ones. So the likes of Onryo, who is a ghost, I can't exactly shoot her. So I could be screwed against certain killers. Some I'll be absolutely fine against. Legion, I'll put a bullet in them. That's fine. Done. Game over. I'll head on. But you get someone like I don't know. There's a lot of killers that just a gun would do nothing against. So I think to a certain extent I'd be screwed no matter what I had. But in some situations I might get out alive.
Well, the last movie I watched was Killer Sofa. So it's an amazing movie about a sentient murderous sofa that is possessed. Yeah. Anyway, surprise, surprise! There's a gun in that movie, guys. So I think I'm gonna bring a gun into the trial.
So all of our answers are a gun.
Yes, that was a great question.
Yeah, what a fantastic question. So then while we're talking about movies, we usually cover a movie in every one of these podcasts. If you were to pick a favorite movie, Celeste, doesn't have to be horror, can be anything, just a movie that you'd love to watch or that you could watch any amount of times without getting bored of it. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Well, you talked about Deadpool and Wolverine a bit before, and funny enough, I actually went and watched that movie like a little bit earlier this year with my boyfriend, and God, I completely underestimated how funny it was. It's by far like my favorite movie that I have watched in a long while. It was really funny, had a good comedic value. I'm not gonna spoil too much of the movie itself, just in case anyone who watches hasn't watched it himself yet. But it's just a really, really funny movie, and there's a lot of funny things you can see here and there, like a lot of fourth wall breaking, and I don't know, I loved it a lot.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very funny, especially when Deadpool like breaks the fourth wall. It can make for some hilarious moments. So I can.
Exactly.
I'd say for myself, right? You're gonna think I'm a massive child, but other than horror movies, where my favorite one would be Sinister, my favorite movie of all time is a movie called Brother Bear. If you've ever heard of it,
I have not. What's it
it's a
about?
Disney movie about a guy who gets turned into a bear and meets this like baby bear and takes him on an adventure. And it's such a children's movie, but I can remember it from when I was younger just being the best movie, and I must have watched it easily 100 times growing up, and it'll probably just always be my favorite movie.
Yeah, I think we all have had one or two movies that we used to watch as a child that is just ingrained into our memories, even if they're not the best.
Absolutely. Wise.
I have no idea whatsoever with this question. I've thought about this for the whole time, and I'm like, there's so many movies that are so good. So picking just one is like extremely difficult. I could name like 20. Does that count? But I don't know if I could pick just one movie, to be honest, that is better than the rest.
That's
I
fair.
I gotta cop out on this one. It's impossible. That's the honest answer for me.
Fair enough.
No worries. And then, if you're not a big movie person, you might sit and spend a lot of time on YouTube. I know all of us do. So, who would be your favorite YouTuber? Who's somebody that uploads and you go, "Oh, I'm watching that."
This is actually a very interesting one. My favorite YouTuber, and the YouTuber I've been watching, I think for over 10 years now, it's legit getting close to 10 years, would be a YouTuber called Eat a Slap. He is a Minecraft YouTuber who just kind of does his own thing in a bit. He doesn't really worry about YouTube categorization. He doesn't really care about what works, what doesn't work. He just goes on like Minecraft, records while he plays it, talks a little bit about his day and what he does, and then usually uploads it, and that's done. He doesn't even have a schedule. But his whole community is just grown about this wholesome personality that Edoslab has. That you get just kind of keep going back to him. Like, even if there are periods where I will say there were periods where I sometimes just watch him a little bit less, where I upload something, I'm not instantly like, hey, I will have to watch it. But then I would watch it like a day or two later, I come back to it. I always keep coming back to it for the last 10 years now, and he's by far still the YouTuber that I would see as my favorite YouTuber by now. Because he keeps, bringing joy.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. It's always good to have that favorite YouTuber that you can just dip back to and watch, or like get excited about seeing new videos from.
I think the biggest thing that a lot of his community has, the biggest problem, but it's also how we know him, is that he's so inconsistent. Like, we expect a YouTube video once a month, and it's funny, right? Because he has his own Reddit page where a lot of people start like talking about how their ego senses are tingling and how they think they're gonna be in episodes like either this week or this day, or they'll start like guessing, and it's so funny to see.
The week that he puts out 2 videos, you guys will go crazy.
Oh god, there was once a week where he uploaded 3 episodes. 3. Oh my god.
And you went nuts.
Exactly.
I think for myself, there's 2 channels that I kind of just watch all the time. There's actually one of them I've swapped channels. There's like basically a group that I would have watched called The Sidemen. Growing up and watching them play GTA a lot, and just their funny moments were hilarious. And obviously they've went on to bigger and better things, and they're doing like game shows and stuff like that on their main channel. So I'd actually watch their second channel more of them playing things like Among Us, because you get the more genuine side of them there, I feel, and it's a lot funnier. And then aside from that, there's a channel called Dead Meat that I've been watching since they were in the tens of thousands of subscribers, and now they're in, I think it's 6 or 7 million. And they basically do like kill counts and stuff of horror movies. And it actually gives me a lot of horror movies to watch, because if I've seen they've done a kill count and it's a movie that maybe I was interested in, or maybe one I'd never heard of, I'd usually go watch the trailer. If it looks like something I'd be interested in, I'll watch it, then I'll watch the kill count. So it's kind of, I've loved that channel for just giving me movies to watch over the years.
Fair is fair.
So at risk of being called a nursemaid, my favorite channel might be the Super Elf YouTube channel.
All right, Wise is a nursemaid. We've established this now
no,
in this podcast for sure.
No. Just coincidentally, I may have watched like every video is made. So maybe it's that one. I would say, yeah. I'd say Super Elf is probably the one I'll pick, because again, I think I've watched every video he's made, so like, it has to be him, I guess. But yeah.
Super Elf is an absolute W. I have watched a lot of Super Elf as well.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. Not just because he's a nursemaid or anything. Only 99%.
Oh no, you've outed yourself as a nursemaid throughout this entire thing. Now we all
I'm not
know
a
now.
nursemaid, though. I'm not a nursemaid.
You're 100% a nursemaid.
No matter how much it looks like I could potentially be, it's not true. It's not true. It's false.
Cap. Lies.
He's looking at that poster of Nurse he has on his wall right now and
Actually,
thinking nobody knows about us.
I actually have a Dead by Daylight hoodie with the nurse on it.
Come on, you can't claim to not be a
I'm not a
nursemaid.
nursemaid.
I have a blight hoodie as well. It's fine.
Whoa.
I have a little.
Why is
Common
he sitting
blight
there?
hoodie.
He's like Pinocchio. He's got a nose a foot long here after telling all these lies.
Listen. I have like 4 DBD like clothing things. 2 like main DVD things. 1 nurse one and 1 blight one. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm not a nursemaid. Okay, not a nursemaid.
He's not a nursemaid. He only plays her for 10 hours a day, has a poster of her on her wall and a bed sheet with her picture on it. He's not a nursemaid, lads.
Also has like 100 streak on nurse as well in DBD. Just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Has also his picture on Twitch being a nurse,
Look, that
Exactly.
that's not.
Picture of his Discord is nurse.
So anyway, guys, let's move on to a different subject.
Yeah, let's talk about when is the P100 nurse happening?
Actually, my second highest prestige killer. Maybe soon. Who knows?
Ah, there you go. It's confirmed. But yeah, to end off the podcast, then we usually give you a streamer recommendation, and it's been lovely this week. We don't have to think of one because Celeste is going to give us our streamer recommendation for this week. So, Celeste, take it away.
Indeed. Now, the streamer that I have chosen, it was a hard choice because there's a lot of cool streamers that I watch that I wanted to recommend, but I have to go with somebody called Nano Biscuit. He has been a moderator in my community and an absolutely W friend for the last months and months that I have known him. He always tries to do his best for his community. He is always around. He keeps like a positive attitude. He's really fun to game with. He makes his own jokes, his own humor. He also works so hard every day. Like he has 2 jobs and he is also streaming every now and again. He's just a lovely chat to check out. And if there was one streamer I could not highly recommend you more than Stumpy,
Nice.
Definitely have to give that more.
I said Stumpy in the end, didn't I?
He's okay, I
But
suppose.
yeah.
Good about that. Obviously I meant Nano Biscuits. You guys should need to check Nano Biscuit out.
Yeah,
No,
Nano's a very cool guy. I also know him. He's a very, very nice dude. We've had many conversations late at night for me where I just go, "Are you winning?" repeatedly every single time, just for no reason. And he's like, "Yeah,
Doing
I
his
think
head
so." It's good moments. Nano's really cool. I do like chilling with Nano. He's a really chill guy. He's someone that you can like. If you go to Nano, you speak to him, and somehow you walk away not liking him, then you're probably not a human. So he's a pretty down to earth guy. He's really likable.
You're
And
probably a nurse main if it happens, honestly.
nursemains are pretty cool. Not that I am a nurseman. I just think those sort of people are quite cool in my experience, and I like nursemaids. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that then sums it up for us. So,
Indeed.
thank you for joining us, Celeste.
Thank you, guys.
We unfortunately have Steve here too, and myself. And get your pets neutered. Don't forget that Wise is a nursemaid, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Goodbye, guys.
Thank God it's done. I've got some nurse to play.